All right, so today we're going to dive into a supernatural story that kicks off with a dark ritual you think you've seen a million times before, but trust me, it spirals into this massive cosmic conflict. We're going to break down the characters, the unique rules of this universe, and the one single incident that just changes everything.
Right from the jump, the story isn't just telling you a fictional tale, it's framing itself as a hidden truth. This opening line is basically a direct challenge to everything we think we know about angels, demons, and their place in the universe. It's a huge signal to the audience to pay attention, because the rules we're used to are about to get shattered.
So we open on a scene that feels like it's straight out of a horror movie, right? You've got two teenagers, John and Nick, and they've got their classmate, Amy Danvers, tied up in the middle of a pentagram out in the woods. The whole setup is designed to feel super familiar, to make you think, okay, I know exactly where this is going.
And here's their whole deal. John and Nick aren't just fooling around. They've got a very specific goal. They're using some kind of magical book, and they really believe that sacrificing Amy is going to summon this all-powerful hunter demon, which will then grant them, unstoppable power. It's a classic case of teenage ambition totally steamrolling common sense.
So, they do the ritual, blood gets spilled, they chant the ancient, spooky words. But the being that materializes out of the shadows is not the mindless, snarling monster they were expecting. Not at all. Instead, they've summoned Lilith, an intelligent, incredibly powerful, and very self-aware entity who is about to absolutely wreck their whole plan.
Okay, listen very, very closely to the exact words the boys use here. They think they're in total control, so they gift Amy to Lilith. In their minds, they're giving an order. But this very specific phrasing, calling her a gift, is going to be their downfall.
And this right here is the turning point. They followed all the steps, they summoned the demon, and they gave their command. So, where did it all go so wrong? How did they go from being the masters of this dark ritual to, well, let's find out.
Here it is, the loophole. It's the cosmic fine print in the contract that they totally failed to read. See, magic in this universe has very strict laws. The boys, they hurt Amy, but they didn't kill her. By gifting her while she was still alive, they failed to make an actual sacrifice. And if there's no sacrifice, there's no binding contract, which means there's no control.
And you better believe Lilith, being this ancient and wickedly smart entity, understands this loophole the second it happens. She takes their own words, their own botched ritual, and just flips it right back on them. She is now a completely unbound hunter demon, totally free to do her own thing. And her first order of business? Judging her would-be masters.
The aftermath of this ritual unfolds with terrifying speed. John is dealt with, but then Lilith does something nobody could have seen coming. She summons Azrael, the angel of death himself. And this is where the story just blows up, from a small-town horror story into something way, way bigger. Azrael isn't there to take Amy's soul. Nope, he's a messenger from God.
I mean, talk about a dramatic reversal. Amy goes from being a powerless victim, just a pawn in some stupid power grab, to being divinely chosen for a mission with cosmic stakes to defend the free will of all humanity. That is one unbelievable promotion.
And with this new quest, the scale of the whole conflict just expands like crazy. We're suddenly introduced to some real heavy hitters from the celestial org chart, like the Archangel Gabriel and this mysterious fallen angel named Harciel. The stakes aren't just about one girl surviving anymore. They're about the fate of the entire world.
So just how powerful is an unbound hunter demon anyway? Well, the story gives us this incredible comparison. Imagine the chaotic, over-the-top violence of Deadpool, and then combine that with the brutal, tactical efficiency of John Wick. That's Lilith. She's basically a walking, talking force of nature.
But even as ridiculously powerful as Lilith is, Azrael is playing on a completely different level. His power isn't just about brute strength, it's about infinite knowledge. Every single soul he has ever guided to the afterlife has passed on all their skills and wisdom to him. He's like a living database of every warrior, scientist, and artist that has ever lived. Just think about that.
The story also has this fascinating, almost sci-fi take on its magic system. It's not about chanting abracadabra and waving a wand. Magic here is basically high-level physics, the direct manipulation of the fundamental forces of the universe, everything from atoms to gravity. It really grounds the supernatural with a clear, consistent set of rules, which is pretty cool.
So this brings us to the new status quo for our main characters. Amy is now the mistress of the very magical book that was used against her,
And Lilith, while she's free from the boy's command, is now bound to that book, which by extension makes her Amy's guardian. Their shared mission? To protect humanity's free will from anyone who tries to take it away.
And if you want the absolute perfect way to describe their new dynamic, the fallen angel Harseal gives Amy this incredible and frankly kind of terrifying analogy. Lilith isn't some loyal bodyguard. She's an intelligent, powerful, and unbelievably dangerous predator that Amy is now in charge of. It's a partnership that's built on a foundation of immense power and a whole lot of potential danger.
And that leaves us with the huge central question that's going to drive the rest of the story. You have a teenage girl who's a total beginner when it comes to magic, and she's now bonded to a newly freed demon whose entire nature is to hunt. Can this impossible duo actually pull it off and defend all of humanity? The stage is set, and the fate of free will is officially hanging in the balance.